Henrietta, we all have our individual statistic. Mine comes from the wonderful Associated Press exit poll surveys that they do, the depth of it, that in Florida, Latinos voted 52% for the GOP. Is the Latino expansion happening much, much quicker than anybody believed?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I think that in Florida, you're seeing that expansion, but it's not necessarily the case elsewhere. I would point to Arizona and Nevada as two states that also have sizable Latino populations that are not mirroring that trend right now. So I think it's isolated, worth considering. Basically, that every Republican on the East Coast moved to Florida over COVID, and that's what you're seeing right now. Very positive for DeSantis, very positive for Rubio, but not necessarily for Republicans elsewhere.
What does your capital look like a month from now? Well, even 2 months. Let's go out past the lame duck session. What does the Washington you know so well look like?
They're going to be tired because the lame duck is going to be insane, is my expectation. Now that Republicans have not won in a red wave, I wouldn't even call it a red ripple at this point. It was the worst showing for a minority party that I can think of since 2002, and that one required an act of war. I think that the 2023 Congress is going to be lucky if they have a decided speaker, and it's going to be very difficult to govern. So that's optimistic for the lame duck session. We could now possibly see the debt ceiling, but it's going to be tough.
And Lisa, you brought this up earlier. I'm assuming McCarthy's a shoo-in. I'm wrong, right?
Well, that's what I was going to ask Henrietta. How much is this really up for grabs? What is the big question in your mind?
We don't have the final vote tallies in the House yet, but he could be as many as eight votes shy of becoming Speaker next year. It requires 218 votes, no matter how you get them. And it could be that some Democrats cross the line to vote for him. I sincerely doubt that. But McCarthy is going to have a lot of people coming for his spot, namely Jim Jordan.
What does it say about Donald Trump as the leader of the Republican Party?
That the American voters are not going to vote for him the third time either. I think this was a very problematic night for Donald Trump. I know he's set to declare on the 15th, or that's what he's been saying, but I wouldn't be surprised if he reassesses. After he makes any kind of declaration, he's got 10 days to file with the FEC if he wants to seriously campaign again. He is down on fundraising against DeSantis. He's down in Republican support by 7 points versus the last time he ran. He's down by 12 points with independents. It would be ill-advised, and I imagine he'll be hearing that from a lot of folks today.
When you looked at the exit polls, Henrietta, everyone was concerned about the economy. That was the first and foremost concern, inflation being the preeminent issue there. How much does this really speak to other drivers of people to the polls, potentially some of the social issues or other concerns, not necessarily what typically people vote for, which is the pocketbook?
Exactly. I mean, you're looking at 8% inflation, $5 gasoline, and you're still going to keep the majority party in Congress. It is a huge referendum. Republicans need to focus on serious issues and have serious answers to the American public about how they're going to bring gas prices down. It's not enough to just rail against whatever the Democrats try to do. The SPR release obviously has worked to an extent, and voters are a lot smarter than I think Republicans are giving them credit for. And that's going to be something that Republicans need to reassess today. Again, if you're going to come in to an election as the minority party and not win the Senate outright or the House outright, and perhaps have the lowest show out in an 8% inflation environment, you need to really reassess your message.
Henrietta, just quickly, what time does Biden announce that he's running for 24?
Good. There's the question of the day.
I'll be honest. I think if Donald Trump does not run, Biden will also not run. And we could be facing a situation in America that is unprecedented, where we have two human beings that could run again that both choose not to. I think Biden's decision depends on Trump's decision. And like I said, I think there will be some serious reassessing going on at Team Trump today. There should be.
That decision comes November 15th. At least we're expecting it to. Henrietta, are you suggesting that it might not come about at all?
I mean, I know I'm wildly out of consensus on this, but it's been my view for a while that the polling and the fundraising dollars are sending a message that President Trump cannot win again. I think last night proved it again. I think he's facing serious threats from DeSantis. We saw his own Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, come out in favor of DeSantis in his own way. We see the Vice President Pence is also preparing to run. The very next day, he's dropping his book and holding a town hall. I think there's going to be a lot of challenges within the Republican Party.